feeling like I'm academics. Can't run away.
Y'all see the shirt? Free Smirk! Now, I've been telling y'all for months. Young Thug got locked up for RICO. And I know some people are going to be like, well, yo, Ak, you're not being like exactly honest with this because people have said free Smirk. Well, here's what I'm saying. When Young Thug was locked up, rappers like Lil Baby, rappers like Lil Durk, and I'm going to keep it there because there's like 5 other rappers, notable rappers too. They were listening to a nigga that was locked up in chains on what the way to move was. They even sacrificed their own careers because they so-called fuck with Thug so much. But it's this idea of brotherhood that is the fake shit about the industry. Like these guys act like, you know, they're beyond friends more than just opportunists who are benefiting off everybody being hot at the same time. So, for Young Thug, when he got locked up, there was a campaign by everybody. Free Slime, free King Slime. Well, King Slime says that we shouldn't talk to Gunna. Well, we're not talking to Gunna. And what I think is happening right now, Durk is in jail, and he's in purgatory, y'all. Let me tell y'all, the Durk y'all love when he was free, if he gets back out again, he'll never be that Durk. I'm going to tell you why. He done learned a lot of lessons. This is me assuming. Nothing he's told me. But the things that he did for other niggas. Y'all know when he came on my podcast, right? And he said, man, yo, Gunna's a snitch. I can't fuck with Gunna. Man, fuck that. I don't care. I love Thug. Nigga, he said that because Thug told him. Yo, what Durk is realizing, Durk is a great soldier, but nobody looked at him like a leader. Durk was willing to move on behalf of the people he's loyal to when they get locked up. When he locked up, they might drop him as a bar in a song, but half of the niggas that Durk fuck with, they trying to link with YoungBoy right now. So they ain't even trying to acknowledge Durk. Let's keep it a bean. They trying to link with YoungBoy. Their music career drying up. They're like, damn, well, where's the heat at? Well, the heat over there with YB. He's popping. Best tour of 2025. Yo, you about to drop some other shit. You know what everybody's saying? Yo, let's try to see if they could be cool. Like, hold on. These niggas been beefing since 2020. This is how the industry's. They've been beefing since 2020. A nigga died in 2020. That's King Von. There was nobody when YoungBoy was being blackballed saying, nah, I think y'all should piece it up. Let's see what YoungBoy thinks about this. Hell nah. Durk go to jail. He's useless to everybody who's out. Let's see if we could broker a truce. Yo, this shit's crazy. Anyway, I mean, we could get into it now. Should we? I guess we should. So Lil Durk is going through it, y'all. Now, he's been reportedly now been in solitary confinement since August 29, and he was there without a formal disciplinary hearing. Now, it was alleged that he had like a Apple Watch in jail and this and third, and I think people think that that's probably why he was, you know, kind of isolated. And so according to court filings, he's been on a 23-hour lockdown a day, no commissary, and one phone call per month. No in-person visitation. They're actually having a hearing tomorrow to talk about this. Okay? I feel bad for Smirk. Because I think, he a Chicago dude. And I'm not accusing other people of not being real in the music business, because I think there's a lot of real niggas in there. But they know at what point to stop playing the real nigga card. I think Durk thought that the real nigga, like, card was going to last longer than it did. Because as soon as he got locked up, I could tell all of his friends was like, this nigga stupid. He actually really put a hit on a nigga and killed him. What the fuck? Nigga, we just be rapping. He doing it. What the fuck? They're looking at him like, is this nigga dumb? I think let me tell you, Durk, I'm going to give you the grim reality, man. I don't care who he did a collab with. Listen, you got to look at what we've seen in the last 90 days when it comes to rappers, street rappers, everything. Brother, I wouldn't be surprised if some of the niggas you went on tour with, did songs with, niggas called you they brother, they twin. I wouldn't be surprised if these rap niggas try to fuck India, my nigga. These niggas are down low and dirty. And I think this is what, I think Durk right now is thinking that, man, I thought I was just with a whole bunch of real niggas. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. And I feel bad for Durk. It's interesting because I've seen fans, today he galvanized his fans. I'm going to show you what he posted. But a lot of people said, oh, man, we haven't seen it. Chat, to put the shirt on tonight, I had to take it out to wash. You know what that means. I've been wearing it at least every week or 2 weeks or so. His team sent me this. I've been wearing it all the time. I wore this in the airport. Not really to cast any aspersion on the particular case, but, I like Durk's music. And I hope he makes it out of the situation. What I've noticed is that when King Slime got locked up, there was a whole parade. Free him. Free him. Free him. Oh, nah. Everybody would post details of the case. How is this humane? How could they do this? Yo, free Slime. Durk got locked up. They might give that nigga half a bar. Free Smirk. And they move the fuck on. That's fact. It is what it is. Now, I'll give credit. I have heard some of these guys have sent lawyers. Good for that. But Smirk is in there, man, realizing the world don't stop spinning because you locked up. And the niggas you called your brothers, they will move on and find another brother. By the way, I hate to say it. Y'all gonna get mad at this. Listen, I realize my role in the industry. Y'all gonna get mad at everything I say. But quietly, I say to yourself, you know what? Y'all don't like this fuck nigga, but you're low-key, he kind of spitting. You're right. Yo, the industry done traded Durk for Herbo. Herbo's a new Durk. All of the niggas jumping on, all of the fake niggas that was like, yo, besties, they with Herbo now. Facts. Straight up. Let's keep it a bean. Just to show you that they never really give a fuck. Let's keep it a bean. I never seen Herbo this cool with niggas. Never. But they gonna take this and be like, yo, shut your fat ass up, you drunk talking shit. They don't like the truth. Durk got locked up. They ain't miss a beat. They said, oh, that's a Chicago real nigga that's spitting, that's making hot music that we could all get our cosigns from. He's kind of like one of the hottest in the streets right now. Yo, delete Durk number. Herbo, come on in, brother. Come on in. It's been a long time. Come on in. Come on in, gang. Come on in. Come on in. Chat, when they clip this up tomorrow, and make sure y'all clip this part. When they clip this up tomorrow, they gonna act like, yo, here go this bitch ass nigga act instigating. They don't want to talk about it. They gonna blame it on me. Watch. Just watch. Watch and learn. But Herbo, I hope you're realizing you was never this cool 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. All the cool niggas realize Durk is out the paint. You're the replacement. You know when somebody go down for an injury? Oh, they out for 3 months. They got a groin injury, an ACL. Well, ACL I think is a year. You're tapped into the game now. Okay. And I don't want none of the rappers to be like, man, why act saying that? That's not true. I'll be the bad guy, just blame it on me. But I'm saying the quiet part out loud. The funny part about it, all the rappers who I seen that was mad buddy, chummy with Durk, they're now buddy, chummy with Herbo. And I'm like, oh, okay. Maybe they're just like Chicago niggas. Or maybe they're just saying, that nigga's on the injured reserve. This is a replacement, man. There we go. So Durk is in solitary confinement, fighting for his mental sanity. The only person checking him is probably his wife, India. I don't know if the other baby mamas could bring kids. Well, they said no visitation. He's probably having a lot of self-reflection now. All the niggas he gave verses to, he popped bottles for, he stood up for, he stood on business, principle. They're out of here. They're out of here. The saddest part, and this is why, honestly, this is what I think 21 Savage meant when he said the streets, like he said, fuck the streets. Because you know what I mean, niggas, because of Durk, when Durk was free and Durk was hot and they wanted to get next to Durk and this and third, they were basically on that, man, fuck YB shit. Man, fuck that nigga YB. We with Durk. Durk locked up, they're like, well, we ain't really had no problem with YB, low key. Nah. Yeah, YB never did nothing to me. Their tune has just changed. It's crazy. Chat, I'm going to keep it a being with you. After I've seen how the industry moves, well, the street niggas in the industry, I see why niggas tell. The fuck are you going to sit in? Yo, imagine Gunna sitting in jail for this fake-ass industry right here. Niggas forget you as long as you can't help them make a hit song. Here's the thing about even the Gunna thing. You think niggas would give a fuck about Gunna if he wasn't popping right now? Pretty much one of the most popping artists in Atlanta? Fuck no. They only see the good in you when you pop it. If you locked up with them, fuck them. It is what it is. That's not the only thing. They've pushed back the trial, supposedly. Or there was an order. Let's go to Durk all day. There's a motion to push back the trial. Here we go, chat. It said Durk and his lawyers, okay. So apparently Durk was in general population and he was put in the SHU. The SHU is a special housing unit since August. And, you know, he's been there without proper process, okay? You can read a little bit of this. He's been confined to a segregated housing unit, okay, at the MDC. He's in a very small jail cell, large enough for a single bed, a toilet, and a sink. For 23 hours a day, he doesn't have access to commissary. He's permitted to one phone call a month and no in-person social visits. The original cause of the SHU placement was an allegation that he was in possession of a Apple Watch. Since the 29th, he's not received the process that is prescribed by law, where an inmate is accused of an infraction, will ordinarily review the incident within 5 working days after its issue, and they'll make a decision regarding an improper disposition and a sanction. His defense team has received conflicting explanations for his extended SHU detention without process. For example, in October, an attorney for MDC told us, well, Mr. Banks' high profile and celebrity status is not the cause of his SHU detention. Then on December 22nd, the warden represented to us that his presence in general population poses a threat to security and the orderly running of the institution due to the high-profile nature of his pending criminal case and possible violations of BOP disciplinary program. This is despite his 11-month presence in general population prior to August 29th, without incident whatsoever caused by celebrity status or the high-profile nature of his case. Additionally, MDC's attorney and the warden have told us that the official segregation review has been conducting a monthly segregation review. Oh, there's an official there. Okay. Segregation review official has been conducting a monthly segregation review where Mr. Banks has been present. Based on the information, that I've gathered through weekly visits with Mr. Banks over the past 4 or 5 months, I believe this to be false. Based on my observation from monitoring of the situation, the first time Mr. Banks has been offered the opportunity to be present at a segregation review was just last week, after I sent the warden and MDC attorney a discovery regarding or request regarding these alleged monthly meetings. In response to our inquiries, the government has provided us with a internally inconsistent explanation for his extended shoe detention. On the one hand, the government tells us that Mr. Banks' continued placements in the shoe is not based on the FBI investigation regarding the Apple Watch. On the other hand, the government tells us that the BOP is waiting to institute disciplinary proceedings regarding or related to the Apple Watches based on our charging decision. All right. I don't want to read everything here. But it says, Mr. Banks' defense team has a growing concern that his prolonged solitary confinement may implicate the Eighth Amendment prohibition on cruel and unusual punishment. I believe a brief status hearing is necessary to ensure that Mr. Banks does not continue to languish in a shoe without process he has been owed for the last 131 days. The government is informing that it takes no position on this request for a status hearing, and they made a declaration. We're going to see what happens with that. Interested. Now, I don't think that even if they have a hearing, whether it's tomorrow or whenever, I think what's going to happen is that the judge is going to call for the Department of the Bureau of Prisons to kind of give their answers to the things that could help them make the determination. That's going to probably take weeks, not just one hearing. However, there is more information happening. So there is an idea. One second. They have offered to push the case back, or they're proposed to. The government has. Ranger Eye, thank you for the 5. Dee Boogie, and Brown Eyes, they're in agreement with the government's request that the trial be pushed back to May 4th. Durk does not agree. So it says, plaintiff, United States, and the defendants, Dontrell Wilson, Dee, both individually and through their counsel, and also David Brian Lindsay, and also Robert A. Jones. Never mind. Asa Houston. They are in agreement that the trial could be pushed back to the 4th. Currently, the trial is set to be starting within this month. I think the judge will grant this, but it's interesting to note that defendant Banks, which is Durk, does not join in the stipulation. Nonetheless, the stipulating parties agree that whatever inclusive constitutes a reasonable period of delay for the defendant who is joined for trial with the co-defendants as to whom the time for trial has not run and no motion for severance has been granted. So they're saying that they're hoping the trial gets pushed, and it appears that it will, if you ask me. Here we go. Continuous. Here we go. So they're saying it's not gonna violate the speedy trial act, and they're saying even though Durk does not agree, they feel like May is the right time. So I think it's gonna get pushed to May, if you ask me. Okay. Now today, Durk puts this up on a story, and I want to go to his story. And show you the message in full. He says, crazy how you gotta wait until it's dark out to see who's really with you. Wow. Now, I'll be honest, even when he posted this, I was surprised by the lack of industry niggas. Yo, Durk was cool with all the cool people in the industry. I'm surprised they're not like super vocal about it. And the easy answer is, oh, they're trying to get cool with Youngboy, but I don't even think that's what it is. I'm starting to think that these niggas ain't never fuck with Durk like that at all. Remember this message he sent?
Paid call from.
Who you depend on? If you need some, who can you bend on? Ask your she really put in the friend zone. Came from nothing, ate on nothing, had nothing to put my grits on. Run it up, I'm from the mud, I really watched the Flintstone. Fortnite, put the car down to get the skins on. Olympic shots to her tummy tuck to put her pants on. Cass came back on bro, mama, hope she live long. Seen them cry 1,000 nights, I hope you know I feel for 'em. Long live, 40 years, home invasion, wrong crib. Can't even get a job, his criminal record like a long bill. Thinking he a pill pop animal, he took the wrong pill. Got his stomach pumped, the doctor told him that he gon' live. I'm talking to friends, I'm talking to family, talking relationship, it's insanity. Talking to the trench, talking to the trench, talking to the bro, that's on the wrist.
Okay, anyway. Now, I think after he said that, all of his, friends are now speaking up for him. Pooh Shiesty, I believe, posted something. Pooh always supported him, though. Pooh really fucks with Durk. You could tell. But, I thought he posted something. What the fuck? Goddamn. I thought he posted some shit. Oh, maybe not. What rappers actually posted something since then? Did Lil Baby post? Oh, is he on Instagram or no? Lil Baby. Yeah, this ain't no time to say free no criminal, man. This nigga's like, it's time for broccoli and rice. Oh, late, man. Did any rapper even post? Free this nigga? Wait, there had to be somebody that posted this shit. There gotta be. They said Drake posted something. Oh, Rollo posted something. Yeah, I think he posted on Twitter. See, he knows probably a little bit more what Durk is going through because he was locked up in the feds. So he said, man, free Lil Durk, man. Free Lil Durk. Some people say Drake posted. Did Drake post something? I don't see a story. Who post? J. Cole? You know damn well J. Cole ain't post a motherfucking thing. Ja Rule. Honestly though, I think like India India DJ bands. His team has been kind of like suggesting in a very, low key way, like, yo, these niggas forgot about Smirk, man. They really forgot about Smirk. Yeah, everybody kind of switched up on him. And by the way, here's the thing. Maybe it's not everyone switched up on Durk. Maybe niggas is just saying, yo, bro, we just don't give a fuck. Like, it's not that we switched up, we fuck with you, but holla at us when you get free. Right? It's kind of sad. There were people going to his court hearings. Let's see how it's looking now.
He's filed a supplemental trial. So yeah, hits random to provide the court with additional information related to the motions the court will hear on January 7th. So it sounds like there's a hearing on January 7th in 5 days. As set forth in government's opposition, the related motions are based on an early preliminary disclosure of certain evidence the government intended to introduce at trial. The revised notice makes clear that the evidence described in section 1, quote-unquote, evidence related to OTF and Durk Bank's rivalry with TB, quote-unquote, evidence establishing the relationship between co-conspirators and defendants' admissions related to the scheme, is direct evidence of and inextricably intertwined with the charge in the second superseding indictment. So they're pointing out this evidence is important because it goes directly to what the accusation is, what the charges are. And now the government starts to shit on Durk's lawyers here. Defense counsel's arguments during the November 18th hearing crystallized the necessity of the disputed evidence. During oral argument on November 18th, counsel for defendant Banks underscored why government's proposed evidence is necessary to prove its case and rebut defendant's core arguments at trial, including that OTF is not a criminal enterprise, that the government's case is built on untrustworthy...
Now, remember we were talking about Otiavani? Otiavani, who's Kavan Grant, I've gotten some info on him. So let's go to BOP, which is Bureau of Prisons. You go to inmates, find the inmate. If you go to Kavan Grant, it says he's not in BOP custody. So, again, this is all a theory here. You know what someone told me? So there's a guy who's locked up, and I won't mention what particular facility, but the person who hit me up, he's actually locked up. I guess he got a phone in jail. He said, hey, one of Durk's co-defendants just landed here. And he made mention that it was Vani. And I'm like, that's interesting. Now, I don't want to put any... thing that could be later, maybe not true out there, but from what I hear, it is very frequent when they're trying to protect someone who is possibly cooperating. They send them to different facilities that maybe the people they're cooperating against can't get to them. I don't know, but it says not in BOP custody. And I got simultaneously another person who's saying, oh yeah, that dude he's over here with us. And I looked at that jail. It doesn't show that person's there. It's kind of interesting and odd.
Cooperating witnesses. Indeed, defense counsel rebuked one central witness as a documented liar, a manipulator, and fraud at the highest order. The government disagrees, and while the defense are free to make these arguments to the jury, they cannot be permitted to do so in a vacuum. As outlined in the government's opposition, the defense cannot credibly dispute that TB and his entourage were stalked for hours across LA, and that SR was brazenly murdered by 3 of the stalkers. Remember, TB is Quando Rondo. The disputed facts and crux of the trial will be who ordered and participated in the calculated murder, and why. The government's opposition explained that introducing evidence to establish the structure of OTF is necessary to show the relationship among the co-conspirators and defendant bank's leadership. So that's a very important sentence right there. Listen up. Obviously, the government wants to put evidence in this trial that shows the structure of OTF as, you know, a gang. They're saying it's a gang that murdered people, pretty much, and put hits out on people, not just a record label. At some point, Durk's lawyers obviously tried to fight that, but, you know, I'm sure the judge is going to let that in. Not just over OTF's legitimate music enterprise, but critically, his knowledge of and involvement in OTF's violence, consistent with the gang murder prosecutions across the country. The evidence to prove these facts will include the testimony of cooperating witnesses. So remember, there's some snitches afoot. People are cooperating. There's going to be witnesses testifying at trial, pointing fingers at people saying they did this. Yes, they did that. Straight up. It's up to the jury if they believe these people. That's what it comes down to. But the defense's job is going to go up there and to make them look like they're lying and they're pieces of shit and they are just doing it in their own self-interest, trying to get out of jail or something. The government's proposed evidence, including defendant bank's text messages with OTF co-conspirators threatening rivals and recruiting conspirators to carry out those threats. It's critical to the government's proving its case and to rebut defendant's claims, including that OTF was merely and solely a benevolent music enterprise. It sounds like the YSL trial all over again. YSL was not a gang. It was a record label. Remember,
Yeah, it sounds like the YSL trial, if the YSL trial was only about the death of Donovan Thomas, right? And this is the reason why I know people keep hearing feds, and obviously that makes us a little bit more like, oh, they got some shit. But in the death of Donovan Nut Thomas, I feel like they had more in Young Thug, and Young Thug didn't get convicted. Well, then he wasn't even charged for that. But the other people charged with it wasn't convicted of his death. Remember they said Young Thug booked the car? Supposedly the car that the shooters were in that did the killing on Donovan Nut Thomas, they said Young Thug had booked it. That never got him in trouble, and that never really went to a conviction. So I don't know. What did they have on Durk like that? It's clearly like snitches, but.
voice. The government's proposed evidence also provides critical cooperation with multiple cooperating witnesses who are anticipated to testify that defendant banks ordered the violence in LA, use intermediaries, including defendant Wilson, to recruit others to carry out the scheme, and promise a reward for carrying out their murder. Holy fuck. Multiple cooperating witnesses saying Durk did this. He hired his boys to go kill Quando Rondo in LA, but they killed Quando's cousin or whatever on accident. Crazy shit. Preventing these cooperating witnesses from testifying about OTF's connection to criminality would deprive the jury of information necessary to resolve the disputed facts in this case. If you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe. I appreciate the support. Back to the video, boys. Accordingly, the government's proposed evidence provides essential material context to show the co-conspirators' criminal relationship and corroborate the anticipated testimony that the conspirators acted at defendant banks and his trusted intermediaries' direction. From the onset of this case, the government has never alleged that OTF is purely a criminal enterprise. Rather, the government's position is that a subset of members, including defendants charged in this case, operated consistent with the street gang. What did I say? They're going to say it's a gang and shit. They're trying to put evidence of that, obviously. As the discovery shows that during the relevant time, OTF operated both as a legitimate music enterprise with a group of members, including defendant Banks, Wilson, and Houston, who operated consistent with the street gang, seeking revenge and perpetuating violence on behalf of OTF. Citing United States v. Smith, a drug conspiracy case from 2002, the district court admitted that the evidence the defendant participated in a drug operation and purchased several kilograms of drugs from a leader. Evidence of prior criminal acts may be relevant in conspiracy cases to show background and development of the conspiracy. Prior criminal endeavors with the leader would help the government provide the background and development of the conspiracy. It would help explain why the leader trusted enough to include him in the risky scheme. Hold on, they're trying to show the jury prior criminal shit? Interesting. Contrary to counsel's claims, the evidence shows that defendant Banks and his close OTF associates, including the defense in this case, had rivalries, discussed violence against rivals, and took violent street action to settle scores with their rivals, including the LA murder defendants are alleged to have committed in this case. Defendants are free to argue that OTF was all about music, but the jury cannot be called on to resolve that issue in an alternate reality of limited and misleading facts. Jesus, bro. The court should deny related motions and permit the government to introduce disputed evidence at trial. Exhibit A, under seal. God dang it. Exhibit B, under seal. So they explained why they wanted these under seal, by the way. I'm going to read why those are under seal right here. United States of America requests this court seal the government's exhibits A, B, attached to the government's notice of lodging, blah, blah, blah. For the reasons described in the attack declaration, the above described documents discuss and contain identifying information of unindicted co-conspirators and or witnesses who participate in the government's investigation who may testify at trial, whose safety or whose family safety may be endangered by disclosure of identifying information. Sealing of the documents is therefore desirable because the government believes that public disclosure of such information may endanger the witnesses or their family's safety and could cause others to attempt to intimidate the witnesses or their family. So there you
Now, these witnesses, this is what I'm saying. Like, these witnesses seems to be the cooperants. Now, it's going to be abundantly clear who the cooperants are, but it's going to be like right before trial or like once the trial schedule has been like kind of announced.
You have it. That's why it's under seal. They're protecting witnesses and their families from being threatened. And of course, the defense is going to say, like every other defense lawyer always says, there's no evidence of witness intimidation in this case or witness tampering whatsoever. This is horse shit. Shouldn't be under seal. But on December 31st, 2 days ago, the government informed defense counsel that it would be seeking to file these documents under seal. As of date, the government has not received any objection from the defense counsel. Oh, surprising. It has only been 2 days. And one of them was New Year's. So next thing I have here is, remember there was threats to the judge and to attorneys in this case for the government. Defense team is clapping back at that situation again. The question that they refuse to answer, barely even acknowledge, leaves a dark gaping hole in their response that should deeply concern the court. The question is, why not just tell the defense? Why did they withhold this information for 7 months? Why did they secret away the fact that the assigned magistrate judge has been subjected to multiple threatening messages, even when they knew the same judge would be presiding over the subsequent hearings? Why not give the defense a heads up when the assigned lead prosecutor to the case also received a threatening phone call just days before they presented to the grand jury on the second superseding indictment? The lack of direct response to any of these questions is glaring. The government references this issue without providing justification, only from a defensive posture. Defense cite no rule, statute, or case showing a clear basis in fact and law that the prosecutors in this case committed any misconduct by deciding to disclose the threats on October 1st, 2025. The government disclosed the threats when they became relevant to the case, when the government relied on the threats in support of its motion for an anonymous jury. Jesus, Drew Findling is not happy about this. When the government becomes aware of the credible death threats directed at presiding judge or lead prosecutor in a pending criminal case, it has a duty as an officer of the court to disclose the information to defense before pre-trial hearings, especially substantive ones dealing with the accused's liberty, even where the magistrate judge personally received the threats. Undisclosed threats against a judicial officer create an objective appearance of impartiality, concern that the defense are entitled to raise and litigate contemporaneously, because due process protects not only against actual bias, but against procedures that undermine public confidence and judicial neutrality. Jesus, big ass words. Basically saying these motherfuckers have a duty to tell the defense. And they set a case too from 1987. Old as shit. By withholding notice of threats while litigating detention and other pretrial matters, the government deprived defendants of option to seek recusal and or other protective relief at the moment judicial discretion was exercised, a structural due process violation that cannot be cured after the fact. Jeez, that's some crazy shit right there. Them boys saying it's a due process violation and can't be fixed, pretty much. To make matters worse, this suppression of relevant information and non-disclosure was not limited to a single prosecutor like Williams, but instead was institutional in scope. This conduct strikes at the heart of fairness of these proceedings and warrants dismissal. The government attempts to recast the defendant's position as one that asserts the government was quote-unquote required to provide the defense with immediate updates about investigation into threats or improper attempts to influence individuals connected to this case. The defense has never made such cavalier suggestion that there was an immediate duty. Instead, at the very least, the government had a duty to disclose this information to defense prior to substantive hearings concerning defense liberty and pretrial motion hearings. Rather than disclose as required, the government suppresses information from the defense for several months, allowing bail hearings and other substantive motions to go forward without so much as a word about literal death threats to the tribunal, the courthouse, and lead prosecutor, who is responsible for making tactical, strategic, and charging decisions in this case. The government's repeated attempts to minimize the threats fails when one considers the
Okay, we don't have to really get on to weeds to that. Yeah, so we're kind of getting there. I still believe in a world where Durk actually beats this thing. From everything I've read, they got 2 cooperants. These cooperants might be Vonnie. Definitely the other is a shooter. I don't think that shooter will do anything but help convict the other guys. And they might have some stuff on Durk, but it's going to be probably things that you could argue and get out of. Vonnie, I believe, is going to have direct knowledge. Vonnie's going to be the guy who says, yo, I was in the room with Durk when he said this. Hey, this ain't the first murder that I done helped Durk get done. And his attention to detail and also his detailing of these things, like, yes, it'll always be a source of doubt where Durk's lawyers are going to be like, yo, this guy, he's charged with murder. Of course, he's going to say anything. Like, this guy, you can't trust the guy who's also charged with murder. What the hell? So, yes, that'll be a thing. However, I don't know if that necessarily works. if he has some real substantial stuff, and we don't know what he has. But if it's all about he said, she said, there's no audio tape. There's no, like, smoking gun in any type of way. Maybe pictures or maybe a note that was maybe in a hidden code. Maybe Durk has a chance of beating this. Okay? By the way, speaking of Drew Finley,